unpack a little bit the ramification of our top story, where former President Jacob Zuma has been given 5 days to hand himself over to authorities to begin serving his 15-month jail sentence. The Constitutional Court found that Zuma is guilty of contempt of court for defying an order to reappear before the state capture inquiry. Some of his supporters have vowed to protect him as well, and the ANC is yet to respond to that ruling. So what does it actually signify as far as the rest of the continent is concerned, and holding former presidents or sitting presidents to authority and what they have to say about what former presidents and current presidents are doing? International relations expert Dr. Charles Sinkala. Dr. Sinkala, it's always a pleasure speaking to you. So as an IR expert, what's your reading of this, considering that South Africa is considered one of the most forward-thinking and forward-moving democracies on the continent?
Yes, thank you very much, Gareth, and thank you very much for having me, and good morning to your viewers. Yes, we must remember that South African constitution is a hybrid which, has been made up of different aspects and beliefs due to the past experience, and I think it has never had any chance to be tested. And I think this ruling which came yesterday was a test that the power and the independence of the judiciary is that supreme power over the whatever which happens within the country in terms of law and the practice of public officials, and as well as the ordinary citizen. Also, this is a strong message to not only the South African, but to the rest of the continent, that indeed South Africa is supreme, in terms of sovereign power. And, if tested, you can face the last, actually, resort that they can give you if you do not respect the Constitution.
So when it comes to a ruling like this against a former president by the country's courts, and we look at some of the other presidents from around the continent who have either evaded arrest, they've evaded time in prison, and they've evaded even their highest courts in the country. What are those countries, what would the reaction be from them when they see something like this? Would it, for example, people in their own countries sit up and pay attention and start asking questions about their own judiciary and constitutions?
I think now it has given faith into even their own system, because you see, we suffer with one syndrome in Africa, that what is home and what is within our systems, it is not good. That's why you find that most things are sought from outside the international world, I remember in Zambia as well, when President Chiluba left the office, facing corruption charges. He was not tried by the Zambian government. Partly, yes, he was, but they could not make any movement. He was tried by the United Kingdom, and as well as in Monrovia, Charles Taylor, the president, was convicted outside his country. So they have that respect and loyalty to leadership that makes them also to ignore the constitution power. They fail to draw a line between leadership, respect, loyalty, and the supreme power of the Constitution. And I think this is the faith, which has been restored on the much-needed independence of the judiciary system, the biggest arm of the government, that has to be respected, irrespective of somebody's status. And I think South Africa has learned a lot of lessons from this, including the supporters of those who are supporting politicians. I see, I've been having Gareth, a very big problem, especially in South Africa. I was wondering where this thing was going, where somebody is accused of something as a suspect, attends the court and just stepping outside the court premises, addresses the supporters, telling them how good and how powerful and how connected he is, and that he cannot be brought down. Even the court system, they are listening to part of what, or even most of that. In fact, the judgment yesterday by the Concord, part of it was derived from the utterances, the lack of respect to the constitution of the law. The Constitution is the last resort that was supposed to protect former President Zuma if the commission was not being fair to him and trampling on his rights. But it took a step through with his legal team, to attack the constitution that he was its own safeguard. And I think also as legal practitioners, we have to make sure that in the interpretation of human rights, we must make sure that we advise our clients within the Constitution. I think, to me, I'm personally hurt by the conduct of Advocate Sinkala, who actually put the last nail in Zuma's rights and Constitution, who took a stand to go to the Zondo Commission to ask to the recusal of Deputy Chief Justice Zondo, instead of working with them and trying to assist, because former President Zuma was responsible between his two terms when he was sworn in to protect the Constitution. Mm-hmm. But they took a wrong turn, to attack and to start, being unruly and definitely disgruntled. You can see the harshness of the judgment. In fact, he should have been respected, should have been given house arrest, but he had to go to the most pernicious statement or judgment, to send a signal that indeed the judiciary system, the Constitution, cannot be overtaken by either political influence or those who are the elite or connected. The supreme reigns. Nobody is above the law. And I think you can see from opposition political parties' sentiments, and as well you can see from the rest of the world how they have reacted to this. This is a victory and historic moment that South Africa, and the call for the new dawn, what President Cyril Ramaphosa came in with, it has been trying to show some fruits, even if the pace is slow.
It's going to be a moment in democratic history that I think we're going to unpack for a very, very long time to come. I appreciate the international relations perspective on how Africa is going to view this as well. Always a pleasure to have you with us. Dr. Charles Sinkala, international relations expert, joining us here on eNCA.